Hello! Oh, this lighting is making me look like a painting. Little clair-obscur. Hello, good morning, welcome to another video. I have almost finished a book that I'm currently reading, and my life is kind of a mess organization-wise, so that means it's time for another planning video where we are going to be planning what I'm going to be reading in the upcoming month or months, and this time I want to combine it with a little bit of life planning as well. I want to pick up my bullet journal again because I have been neglecting this little boy for months, and I noticed that maybe I do need some on paper organization in my life again, so I want to set up a bit of planning again, and I thought that would fit into this video as well as we also plan the reading stuff. The book that I'm currently reading and going towards finishing is A Bunny by Mona Awad. The video for next week will contain me talking about this book. I'm very excited to talk about it, but when I finish this one, I really don't know what to read next. Like, I will have finished everything that was on my reading to-do list, so that means we can come up with a new plan. Let's just move over to my bookshelves to take a look at the books that I still have unread on my shelves. Welcome. These are my bookshelves. They are behind my desk, which I'm sitting on. There's still more there, but you can't really see that. But behind here, I have my shelf of unread books. There's actually no space for more books on here anymore, which is why there's also a pile just in front of it of books that I haven't read yet. Literally, it's getting dusty. When the unread books on your shelf become dusty, that's when you know that you have too many unread books on your shelves. First question I always ask myself when picking out new books to read is, what am I in the mood for? So the thing is, currently, something a bit weird is happening, and that is that I'm not really in the mood for fantasy at the moment, which is weird because I am almost always in the mood for fantasy books. It's one of my favorite genres, but currently I just do not find myself gravitating towards any fantasy books. I have a bunch of fantasy books still unread on my bookshelves that I am just not really in the mood for right now. However, you guys do know that I'm kind of on my journey of finding the new perfect book for me, and one of the things that I wanted to try out for a video as well is to read a bunch of YA fantasy again, because it's been a while since I read YA fantasy, and it used to be my absolute favorite genre. I would inhale books of that genre non-stop and love almost all of it. So one of the things that I really wanted to do this year was to read a few YA fantasies again, to see if I still like it, if I've been missing something by not reading YA fantasy lately. So I do think actually it might be a fun idea to create a list of books that I might want to read for that little challenge for myself. One that I do have right now is The Midnight Lie by Marie Rakowski. It's kind of a fantasy slash dystopian book. It's about a young girl who wants to get away from this grim and punishing city that she lives in, and then she meets another girl who is a traveler and encourages her to let go of the things she doesn't like and just, you know, move away and travel and find freedom. And there might be some magic involved. I started reading this a while ago, but I couldn't really get through it because I'm currently not really in a fantasy mood. But once I get my fantasy mood back and want to read YA fantasy, I think this one's gonna be on the list. Then I still have Fable by Adrienne Young. It's like a pirate fantasy story, so I feel like for my challenge to read some YA fantasy books, I could also read this one, finally give it a try, because I do really love pirates. And then another YA fantasy book that I am so excited to read, that I really very badly want to read, is Iron Widow. I've heard amazing things about this one, that like a lot of people have said it's like one of the best YA fantasy books that they've read in a very long time. I know that it includes mecha pilots, and there's a polyamorous resolution to a love triangle. That's all I know about it, and that a lot of people say that it's like amazing. So that book I also definitely want to read, and then I think I have enough books to choose from for when I want to try to pick up a YA fantasy again. So then I will have 3 books that I can dive into in my foray into YA fantasy again. But like I said, I'm currently not really in the mood for fantasy books, so this is probably gonna be something I start in a few weeks. For now, I've been kind of reading a lot of non-speculative fiction. I know, weird. I'm also very surprised with that. I do still have The Secret History here. Now, after reading Bunny and These Violent Delights, I've been kind of in a dark academia story kick, so maybe I will finally get around to reading this book. I'm not gonna promise anything, but I am gonna keep this aside because I do feel like this is the moment that I'm into this. The only problem is that it really is quite long, and well, oh yeah, it is. Almost 600 pages. It is 600 pages, okay. But I am kind of on a kick of reading stories about twisted people at university, so I think I am gonna put this aside as something that I might want to read soon. However, what I was thinking is now that I'm kind of in a contemporary, twisted students mood, I might have to make use of this energy and finally give a try to Crime and Punishment again. It's been an ongoing joke on this channel that I've been trying to read this book multiple times. Look, you can actually see I'm not that not far into it. I'm on page 230 out of like also 600. Crime and Punishment has less pages than The Secret History, but look. They made very thin pages on this one. If you've been following my journey into starting and stopping in Crime and Punishment again, you know that I do enjoy this book. It's just that I find it extremely difficult to get through because there just is no coherent storyline, and it's very episodic because of the way that it was published back in the day. It was published in parts. So I'm just having a very hard time getting through it. But since right now I'm kind of in a mood like this, somehow I've been in the mood of reading contemporary stories or non-speculative stories about young people being driven to violence, and that's this as well. I also am afraid that I need to reread the first 220 pages, but I kind of don't want to do that. Maybe I'll look up like a discussion online so I can kind of refresh my mind on what exactly happened in the first 220 pages and then finally start continuing this. Oh my gosh, would it be so amazing if I finally read this book? Do I think that I will pick this up and then again not finish it? To be honest, I'm kind of losing faith in myself and my ability to finish this book, but hey, at least we can give it a try. Okay, I'm gonna find a more comfortable way to sit. Okay, so now that we've taken a look at the books that I already own, of course, there's always the possibility of buying new books. So I want to go through, I keep a list of books that I'm interested in, books that I want to read. I kind of want to go through that and see if there is anything that I might be interested in. So in Notion, you can very easily make like lists. Anytime I hear about a book that sounds interesting to me, I will add it to this list. And then once you're reading it, I will drag it over to the reading list. And then once I finished it, I will drag it over to the finished list. Wait, I completely forgot about this. For a book club that I have with some friends, we are going to read The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. The super famous YA fantasy story that I just somehow never picked up. So actually, this perfectly fits for the little goal that I have for myself to read some more YA fantasy. The Cruel Prince is going to be absolutely perfect. I don't know what the deadline is on this book. Okay, so I still have 2 months to read this book, so no priority, but this is a book that I want to read, and that probably means that I need to start reserving it in the library because it's a super popular book and it's always reserved for someone else. So if I want to finish it in time, I need to get it from the library. Sometimes I write down the title of a book in this list and I have no idea who it's from or what the book is about, and I'm very confused as to why I wrote it down. Like, I wrote down a book called Carmilla. Oh! Ooh, it's a gothic novel. Oh, it's one of the first vampire stories. It's a gothic novel about a young girl that is being seduced by a female vampire. That sounds pretty cool. Not something I'm in the mood for right now, but I'm glad I wrote that down. Another thing that I've been curious about is I wanted to try getting into Japanese translated fiction, because I know specifically Japanese general fiction has a lot of fervent fans, and there are a lot of Japanese books that I heard a lot of fantastic things about, and it's something that I want to try out to kind of see if it's something that I'm into. Oh, maybe would that be a fun video? Is that something? For example, Before the Coffee Gets Cold has a lot of hype. It's supposedly a very, very wholesome but beautiful and moving story or collection of short stories. The other one that I've been interested in is The Sailor Who Fell from Grace with the Sea. I don't remember how I got to this. I think I was looking for general fiction books with very morally gray characters, and I think this was recommended there. I'm not entirely sure, but there's a reason that I wrote it down. But the story is about a band of kind of savage and rebellious 30-year-olds that end up doing some very disturbing things. And like I said, for some reason, that is the mood of books that I'm into right now. And I also wrote down Lonely Castle in the Mirror, which I know that Brit from Brit Reads was very interested in. She bought it in my last video where we went book shopping together. This is the book that she bought because she was very interested in it. Maybe I'll wait to learn what she thought of it, but it has a very high rating on Goodreads, a 4.3. It's about a group of students that discover a portal in their room to another world that offers escape from the stresses of their lives. Sounds very interesting. Another one that I wrote down I'm a little bit hesitant about is No Longer Human. This gets very, very mixed reviews. It's a post-war Japanese novel about a young man who is caught between Japanese tradition and the influence of Western ideas. Anyway, for now, let's get my bullet journal and do some planning. Okay, I have my bullet journal here. I haven't used it in a very long time because I've kind of been moving to the digital space, and I really thought for a long time I did digital, aka Notion, and on paper together, but it didn't really work, and I didn't really find myself really needing to write things down, or so I thought. And I thought I'm going completely digital, but lately I've noticed that writing things down is something that I do really need, so I want to make a monthly planning. So I want to do another very, very simple spread that doesn't take too much time to make, so I can actually keep up with it. That's just a weekly spread, and then also a small monthly spread for May or April. For April. I think I like this one. Hello, I want to give you an update on what I'm doing in a voiceover. So the reason I felt like I needed a bullet journal again is because mostly I didn't really have a place to keep up my to-do list. I tried to do it digitally. There are many easy ways to do to-do lists digitally, but I noticed that I just don't really keep up with it as much as just a place where I can just write it down. And the moment I really realized that I needed to use a bullet journal again is because I started using random post-it notes to just write down quick to-do lists, and I didn't want to pick up my bullet journal because it felt like too much trouble to make a new spread every time. So that's why here I just came up with a super simple but still nicely looking weekly spread, which is basically just a washi tape through the length of the pages and then the days beneath that, so that in the little space above it I will have a little bit of space to write a weekly to-do list, you know, where I can quickly write down notes that don't have a specific day to go to. I just have the space up top for those general to-do list stuff. And then I also made this tiny little box with weekly to-do stuff that I can just copy every single week with tasks that I need to do weekly, but that I often forget about, like watering my plants. And I think a bullet journal is a great way to remind myself that I do need to do those things. And then for the monthly spread, I used to always think, ooh, the monthly spread is something that needs to look beautiful, and I really put in a lot of effort. But now again, I was like, if I'm gonna do that, I'm not gonna do that if I think I need to put effort in. So I just made one page, super simple, with just a weekly task list. As you can see, I made the mistake of thinking that it was gonna be May, so I started with an M, and then I tried to salvage it by turning it into April, and it ended up looking pretty ugly, not gonna lie, but it doesn't matter because it's just there for a monthly task list. I decided to not do the calendar like I always do because I never use it and it just takes up a lot of time. So this is also just a place for a monthly task list, and also, for example, some goals, including the books that I want to read. I will write that down here. And this is how it ended up looking like. Very simple, but I think this is useful and doable for me. Okay, so now we have a super simple setup for my planner again. So let's round up what I want to read. For a book club, I 100% want to get to reading The Cruel Prince, and if I have more urge to get into fantasy, I have a whole array of YA fantasy that I want to try, including Iron Widow. Then we have the category black velvety cover books. Might finally continue reading Crime and Punishment, wouldn't that be amazing? And then if I want to buy any new books, I kind of want to give a try to a few Japanese fiction books. I'm actually very excited about those. This is why I love making these kind of videos, because just sitting down, taking a moment to think about what I want to read, going through, you know, the extremely long list of books that sound interesting to me, always makes me remember certain books that I'm interested in that I kind of forgot about because they kind of ended up at the bottom of the list. Next week there's going to be a video where I read books that TikTok recommended to me, including Bunny, so I'm very excited about this video. But before we end the video, I actually have a special announcement that I still completely forgot to mention on the YouTube channel, but if you follow me on social media you already know, but I have made a Discord server for us. It is called Purple Time because, you know, it's always purple time when we sit down and talk about a bunch of books. It's just a Discord server where you can talk about books and games and just meet other book lovers. I've made specific servers where you can chat about books in full spoilery detail with each other, and it's also the place where I will give my spoilery ideas on books, because of course in videos I don't want to talk about spoilers because, of course, not everyone who watches the video has read the book, but with the Discord, I kind of wanted to create a space where people can have specific channels to talk about certain books in all its spoilery detail, and we can actually have discussions about the books that we've read. It's been really, really amazing. People are already organizing buddy reads together. It's honestly, it's wonderful to see. Oh man, the sun. Okay, but yeah, if you want to join the Discord server and actually talk to the other people that watch my videos, it's been a lot of fun, and it's completely free, of course, so you can join. If you want to, I'll leave the link in the description. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow me on my other social media if you're interested in that. I'm really excited. We have some wonderful weeks of reading ahead of us. I hope you enjoyed this little video, and I will see you soon in another one next week, or I will see you in the Discord server. Goodbye.